At last, the 40 days ended. The rain from heaven was restrained. The windows of the heavens were stopped, and the fountains of the deep were sealed. Every inch of land was hidden deep beneath the waters. All life that depended on land, whether living on it or flying above it, perished. From the day the rains began and the floodwaters rushed across the earth, the land stayed submerged for a total of 150 days. This period of time was sufficient for all life to be destroyed, except what could survive in the now global sea and the life that was existing within the floating ark of safety. When these first 150 days had been completed, God's remembrance was upon Noah, his family, and all the animals that were with him in the ark. And God made a wind that was now fixed in place for the remaining duration of their stay, until Noah and his family would hear from God that the earth was again at rest. Until then, Noah could only survey their surroundings to see any progress. It would be about 2.5 months of being lodged in the mountains of Ararat until the first sighting of surrounding mountains were visible, finally revealed by the receding waters. But these first sightings were only small islands of land in the midst of the surrounding waters. So Noah waited a period of 40 days before he took one of the ravens, opened a window, and released the bird into the world. The bird flew off as a scout for Noah. However, this particular bird never returned, but flew about on the earth until the waters were gone. So after 7 days, Noah took a smaller bird, a female dove, and released her out the window to survey the land. The dove flew about, but found no good resting place, so she returned. Putting out his hand, Noah received her back into the ark. These 2 survey missions had not yielded any new information for the family. After 7 more days, Noah released the dove again. What insight would they gain? What was the world outside the ark and beyond these mountains like? It wasn't long before their flitting friend returned to the ark with an encouraging sign, an olive branch. Somewhere beyond the ark, the natural processes of life and growth were being awakened by the sunlight, fresh air, and warmth. Noah would wait 1 more week, then send the brave little dove out again. But this journey would turn out to be her last venture from the ark, because it seems at this time she found that good resting place to begin again. After several weeks of waiting further, Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked out across the mountains of Ararat. The ground that Noah saw was dry. Now the time must be coming soon. The rain had been gone for some time. The ark was at rest. Vegetation was coming back on the earth. The water had receded and the ground was drying. On the 27th day of the 2nd month, just over 1 year after the flood had begun, God's anticipated message came.
Then God spoke to Noah, saying, "Go out of the ark, you and your wife, and your sons and your sons' wives with you."
It was a simple command, but it had as much uncertainty as the previous command to enter the ark. How would the world be after the flood? To God. From the additional clean animals that had boarded the ark, Noah sacrificed burnt offerings to God. There was much that these 4 couples would have to do to reestablish their lives on the earth. But for these first moments, showing their gratitude for God's care and saving mercy deserved their focus. The 3 younger couples would spread out in the land and have many children and a multitude of descendants. Shem, Ham, and Japheth would each become the patriarchs of great nations and a diversity of people. Through Adam and Noah, all peoples and nations of the earth would come until the time that a true Savior would solve humanity's problem of sin forever. and it's based on misrepresentations of both the scientific and the biblical records. For some, the presentation of this scenario is an attempt to cast an air of ridiculousness on the biblical account by placing the huge burden on Noah to travel the world, to trap and transport millions upon millions of animals back to the ark. In studying the reality of the ark and its animals, we have to first base our understanding on the Bible's account.
And of every living thing of all flesh you shall bring 2 of every sort into the ark, to keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female, of the birds after their kind, of animals after their kind, and of every creeping thing of the earth after its kind. 2 of every kind will come to you to keep them alive.
2 of every kind will come to you. The first fallacy in the skeptic scenario is that Noah did not have to worry about where to travel, what animals to trap, how to determine male and female of each species, or how to transport each of them back to the ark. The traveling was accomplished by the animals under the direction of their Creator. Whatever the geography of Earth's land masses was prior to the flood, and such a cataclysmic event, the topography was different. Noah didn't have to travel to a distant region in the south to bring back kangaroos, or to a far-off region in the east to bring back pandas. Or he didn't need to trek through some northern wilderness to bring back a host of different bird kinds. Rather, he was to prepare the ark for their shelter, the internal compartments for their dwellings, and the stores of food for survival.
Make yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark, and cover it inside and outside with pitch. And you shall take for yourself of all food that is eaten, and you shall gather it to yourself, and it shall be food for you and for them.
The second fallacy in the skeptic's argument involves the enormous misrepresentation of the number of animals that Noah would have needed to take. While some skeptics have stated that there were hundreds of millions of species that existed, others have gone so far as to say that the fossil record documents 500 million species or more. Both of these numbers are absolutely false and demonstrate both a misrepresentation of solid scientific data and a misunderstanding of the biblical time frame. The biblical history leading back to Noah's life did not take place over hundreds of thousands or even millions of years ago, but only a few thousand years. And scientific studies of animal life do not document hundreds of millions of animal species, either existing or extinct. These wild extrapolations for the number of animals on Noah's Ark are derived from the assumptions of Darwinian evolution and the needed yet missing millions of transitional animal species. Even the seemingly lower figures, ranging from 3 to 10 million species, are substantially inflated beyond currently observed catalog species, which only number in the range of 1 to 2 million. Yet for numerous reasons that we will discuss, the number of different animal species on the ark is nowhere near hundreds